Hello. So now I'm going to talk about whether Irish women are low or high quality. The long answer is yes, they are. The short answer is yes. Why are they low quality? Well, let me give you a couple of examples. The last two Irish girls I've been with absolutely flabbergasted me because of their low morality and lack of standards, which probably doesn't say much about me because they were with me. Oh, no, but seriously, one of them told me about one of her ex-boyfriends or men she was trying to pin down. He was in prison at the time. I won't go into details about how we got together for one night, but she was prepared to get married in the first night as well, reeking of desperation. But she described the man she had been with, and he was a drug dealer and, a layabout criminal who had been dealing drugs to children. And he was, in cahoots with all the drug gangs, and they were after him or something. But he ended up going to prison, and she showed me videos of her with him. And that was the end of that. She didn't even care. She was higher up in her job. She was, willing to get an abortion. Didn't give a shit about, protection or anything. Oh God, man! And this girl wasn't very stupid either. She wasn't the best looking, but she was probably 40 IQ points higher than the man she was with. The man she was with, she described him, sounded like he was about 80 IQ. I'd say she's like 115. But those were the kinds of men she was with, and I walked out of the hotel and never spoke to her again. But the next Irish girl, again, low quality, but nowhere near as low quality as that. Like, she had a bit of sense. But during text messages, I started asking her questions like, what would you think if I was on steroids, would that bother you? She goes, nah, each to their own. I go, so wouldn't make a difference if I was really skinny and took steroids and got a little bit bigger, but it was the steroids that gave me the size. It wouldn't bother you. Nah, each to their own. Like, a response to everything was each to their own. Like, any moral situation like that, or any hypothesis that made her think about attributing standards and substance onto someone, she just said each to their own. And she's like 37, going to festivals every weekend and seeing all these bands and stuff. I was like, oh, you're a bit old for that. What do you like about it? No intellectual response, no reasoning about why she likes things. Just like airy fairy. It's really good time, man. Just having a good time, Oh, it's just lovely vibes. That's literally Irish women. I know that's only two, but growing up, before I left the country, there was a lot of Irish girls like that as well. Most of the decent Irish girls left the country. Most of the intelligent men from Ireland left the country. And Ireland's been a brain drain country for a long time. And all that's left here are instinctive people, overly instinctive people who snort cocaine and, well, there's some nice people there too, but there's a lot of junk in this country. They just talk about people. That's all they talk about. They're cowards. They don't fight for their country. They just take whatever RT give to them. You all know this stuff. But the women are especially low quality, because the women here are like the two I just described. The women are really anti-intellectual. Going abroad let me see that women from other European countries are way more involved in actual reading things. Here, women don't really read. They listen to media and follow the crowd and copy like third-hand American culture. Like, you get middle-class people that are copying low-class Americans thinking they're cool. You know, that's the way they operate. And you have girls here doing stuff that I would never have imagined. When I was growing up, girls would never like have got into anything like prostitution, or, you know, they barely had sex before marriage. And now they're flat out taking cocaine. Like, I was out in a pub one night and there was these two lads. They were ex-drug dealers, and I talked to anybody. And to cut a long story short, after 2 minutes, they approached two girls with two men and said, "We have coke," and the two girls ditched their two men to come and sit with us three. I wasn't taking any drugs, but they were. And them two, like, those girls are only 17, 18, 19. Very young, 19, 20. They said they're of age. And the other two lads were 30, right? And they were waiting for the first man to jump on them. And then the two druggies took them to theirs, and they stayed there for the weekend. You know, girls here will jump on you for drugs. And that's the typical Irish woman. If you have an IQ above 125, which isn't very high, you're F-U-C-K-E-D in this country. Because Irish women are the most anti-intellectual women in Europe. And I think that's because the average IQ of Ireland is 95.5, like 96, which isn't very high. It's high enough. But then women's IQ is slightly lower than men's, so that women's IQ is probably like 94. But women's IQ isn't as variable. So if your IQ is 130 plus, the chances of you finding a woman at 120 IQ, which is probably within the area where you would be dating, is probably like 1 in 50,000. So if you really want to pull women here, I wouldn't display your intelligence, because there are not many intelligent women in Ireland. They're very low quality. They don't have standards. They follow the crowd. They're horizontal collaborators. They're all woke. And they're flat out on drugs, like. It's a sad case, like, because when I was growing up, the women were not like this. One of the girlfriends I had when I was younger, she had only had one man before me, and she would have married me, like, and I would have been her second. But I could have been her first and only. You know what I mean? There was lots of girls like that growing up, but nowadays there's none. Yeah, so that's the story. Irish women, not good.